to do with me. Fathers, be good to your daughter.
G'day guys, welcome to another Guitar Zero to Hero song tutorial, and in today's lesson I'll be teaching you how to play Daughters by John Mayer. So this song's a really awesome acoustic song, and in classic John Mayer fashion he's thrown in some really strange chords that are very different to your typical open C, E, D chords. So we'll run through this song section by section, but by the end you should be able to play the whole song, and it's a really great song for intermediate players who want to learn some new shapes to throw into their playing repertoire. So for this song you'll just need a guitar and standard tuning, and you won't need a capo at all. Throughout the whole song all these chord shapes have the most whack names. They're super long, super hard to remember, so I'll just be shortening them down to their most basic form when I'm referring to them, but of course we'll be playing the actual chord. So for the verse we have 4 chord shapes that we'll need to learn. The first one is what we'll call a B minor 11. So you'll take your middle finger and you'll put that on the 7th fret on the 6th string. You'll take your ring finger and you'll put that again on the 7th fret, this time on the 4th string. And then you'll take your pinky finger and again you'll put that on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. Now the 1st and 2nd strings should be open and ring out. Now the 5th string that we haven't put any fingers on needs to be muted, and that can easily be done by just using your middle finger to lightly rest on it whilst you're pushing down on the 6th string. So the first chord will sound something like this. So from that position we'll move on to our second chord, and what you'll want to do is keep your pinky finger there on the 3rd string at the 7th fret, and you'll take your index finger and you'll put it on the 4th string, 5th fret, and then you'll take your ring finger and you'll put it on the 7th fret of the 5th string. For this chord you'll be hitting the open 6th string and again the open 1st and 2nd strings. And that's what we call the E7. We'll move on to the 3rd chord from that same position, and all you need to do is lift your ring finger. Now you've lifted your ring finger. Now we can't play the 6th string for this chord, we need to mute that. So that's easily done by just taking your middle finger and lightly resting it on the 6th string so that it won't ring out when you hit that full chord. Your bass note will be the open A string, and that's the 3rd chord. And finally we get to the 4th chord. So from the 3rd chord, all you need to do is slide your index finger down to the 4th fret, and then with your middle finger you'll push that onto the 5th fret of the 5th string. Again you'll be muting that 6th string, and you can do that with your ring finger by just lightly resting it on that string. So altogether that 4th chord, which is a D6 add 9, we'll just call it the D6, sounds like that. So to recap, our first chord, which is the B minor 11, the second one, which is the E7, the third one, which is the A7, and then the 4th one, which is the D6. Again, I have abbreviated the names of those chords because they actually are very long and I don't want to confuse you guys. Now this song is in 3/4 time, so it has again that waltz feel, like 1 2 3 2 2 3 1 2 3 2 2 3. Now the strumming pattern is really simple, and I'll go like this for the verse. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that will be played for each chord shape that we just learnt. So to put it together, it'll sound something like this. Down, up, 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 down, up. So there you go. It's fairly basic. The most challenging bit will probably be that last chord for many beginners to stretch out that far. However, just keep at it and you'll get there. Also be very wary of which strings you're hitting and which strings you're not hitting in each of those chords. So make sure when you see an X on one of the strings, that means you don't play it. It needs to be muted. It can't ring out. Now we get to the chorus, and 3 out of the 4 chords of the chorus are exactly the same as the verse. The second chord's the only chord which is a tiny bit different. Now in the verse, we had our second chord, which was our E minor 7, that looked like that. Now in the chorus, our second chord is an E7, so it's a major, not a minor 7 chord. And the only difference from that shape to the one in the chorus is that your index finger needs to move up 1 fret to the 6th fret. So you have your ring finger on the 7th of the 5th string, your index finger on the 6th fret of the 4th string, and your pinky on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. And that's the E7 chord, which is the second chord in the chorus. So the rest of the chords in the chorus are exactly the same. So the first one, which is our B minor 11, is the same. The second one we just learnt, which is the E7. The third one, which is the A7, stays the same. And the fourth chord, which is the D6 added on, stays the same. The strumming pattern in the chorus will be really short. It will just be down, up, up. And its succession will just sound like down, up, 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 down, up. Now each chord will have one strumming pattern. Altogether, the chorus will sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Now the second verse chords are exactly the same as the first verse chords. Now the only difference here is we're going to be playing a different strumming pattern. Now the strumming pattern for the second verse is a little more complicated, but you should be able to get it. It sounds like this. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And one more time. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And its succession. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So for the first 3 chords, we have that strumming pattern, but for the 4th chord, we change it up a little bit. And the strumming pattern goes down, 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 up, down, down, down. And it'll sound like this. So altogether, the second verse will sound something like this. Now if you want to add a little more flair to this second verse, what we do on that last chord, on the last 2 strums, we change up the shape. Now from our D6 chord shape, to get to that next chord shape, all we need to do is slide our index finger up to the 5th fret and use our ring finger on the 7th fret. And so we have 7th fret for the 5th string, 5th fret for the 4th string, 7th fret for the 3rd string, and then 1st and 2nd open. Now the top string should be muted. So that's the shape we have for the second last strum. And for the last strum, we simply move that shape 2 frets up, and then we have the last shape. So for the D6 shape, again, we have that strumming pattern which goes down, 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 up, down, down, down. For the second last strum, we have that shape, and for the last strum, we have that shape. So it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Down, 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 up, down, down, down. And one more time. Down, 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 up, down, down, down. So with that extra little bit, the second verse should sound something like this. So now we get to the bridge of the song, which is probably the most complicated bit of the song because there are so many chord shapes. However, we'll break it down bit by bit and it should be fairly simple. So to start off this bridge, the strumming pattern is just going to be our simple down, up, down, up. And in succession that sounds like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. up, down, up. So our first chord will start up at the 10th fret, and we'll take our middle finger and we'll put that on the 6th string. Then we'll take our ring finger and we'll put that on the 4th string of the 10th fret. Then I'll take our pinky finger and we'll put that on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Finally, we'll take our index finger and we'll put that on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And that's what you'll have. The 5th string should be muted, and that can easily be muted with your middle finger by just resting on top of it whilst you're pushing down on the 6th string. So we play that for one strumming pattern. So the next chord shape will have similar fingering to the D major chord shape that we usually play. However, we're playing it up at the 8th fret and 9th fret and on different strings. So you'll have your index finger on the 4th string of the 8th fret, your middle finger on the 2nd string of the 8th fret, and your ring finger on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And you're just going to be playing those 3 strings and nothing else. So from the first chord to the second chord, it will sound like this. And our final chord in this first chunk of chords is just going to be our first index finger barring the 7th fret for the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. Now you'll only want to hit those strings. And that gets played for 2 strumming patterns. So for this first chunk of chords, we have and one more time. Okay, so for the next chunk of chords, from the last chord position, so we take our index finger and we slide it down to the 5th fret. Our middle finger will go onto the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and our ring finger will go onto the 7th fret of the 2nd string. And we're only playing those 3 strings again. You don't want to be strumming anything else. And that just gets played for one strumming pattern. For this next chord, we'll be using again another D major chord shape similar to that, but on different strings. So we'll have our index on 5, our ring on 6, and our middle finger on 5 for the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. And we're playing that for one strumming pattern. So it'll go. So our last chord for this chunk of chords is going to be similar to the first chord that we learnt in the verse, which is our B minor 11. However, we're going to add one thing. So that's our B minor 11 in our verse. The one in the bridge, we're going to have our index finger pushing down on the 2nd string of the 5th fret. And that's played for 2 strumming patterns. So for this chunk of chords, it goes. And one more time. Okay, so for the next chunk of chords, we have an E minor 7, which is played down here. So you'll play a basic E minor shape here with your index finger on the 5th string and your middle finger on the 4th string. And you'll put your ring finger on the 2nd string of the 3rd fret. And that's played for 2 strumming patterns. And then we have a D/F sharp. So we'll take our index finger and we'll move that onto the 6th string on the same fret. And then we'll take our middle finger and we'll put that on the same fret of the 3rd string. And we play that for 2 strumming patterns. Alternatively, you can play that chord with your thumb pushing down that 2nd fret of the 6th string, and you can use your index finger to push down the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Now our next chord in this chunk of chords is going to be a bit of a tricky one. And we're going to have to use our thumb for this. So you get your thumb down on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. you take your index finger and you bar down on the 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings on that 3rd fret as well. And then you take your pinky finger and you're placing it on the 5th fret of the 1st string. And that's played for 2 strumming patterns. So to recap, for that chunk of chords, we have that E minor 7, the D/F sharp, and then this whack G minor 9. Each of them for 2 strumming patterns. In our last chunk of chords, we have 4 shapes that we need to learn. Our first one is simply an A7, so we have our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and that's played for 1 strumming pattern. And then our next chord shape, all we do is we keep our middle finger on that string, we slide it up 2 frets to the 4th fret, take our index finger, and that goes down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And that's played for 1 strumming pattern as well. So for our next chord, again, we'll leave our middle finger on that string, we'll slide that up 1 fret to the 5th fret, and then we'll take our ring finger and we'll put that on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So those first 3 chords will sound like this. And the 4th chord will simply be the same as that 3rd chord. We'll just slide that up 2 more frets to 7 and 7. So that last chunk of chords will sound something like this. So 1 strumming pattern for each chord. You're going to note though, for those last 4 chords, we do not hit that 6th fret at any time. We've got to keep that muted. The bass note that needs to be played will be that open A. So altogether, the bridge will sound something like this. So now I'm going to play the verse, chorus and bridge, and I'm going to have my good friend Kelly sing on top, so you have some context. Now make sure you try to play along and see how you go.
I know a girl, she puts the color inside of my world, but she's just like a maze where all of the walls are continually changed. And I've done all I can to stand on her steps with my heart in my hands. Now starting to see baby's got nothing to do with me. Fathers, be good to your daughters. Daughters who love like you do. Girls become lovers who turn into mothers. So mothers, be good to your daughters too. Boys you can break, you'll find out how much they can take. Boys will be strong, boys soldier on, but boys would be gone without warmth from a woman's good heart.
And that's it for Daughters by John Mayer. Now it is a bit more of a tricky song, so it is targeted more towards those intermediate players. However, if you keep watching this video and keep practicing, I'm sure you'll get it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, so make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave your thoughts and comments below, and I'll see you next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Now I put a lot of time and effort into recording these videos, editing these videos, annotating them, putting the tabs in, so that you guys get the best learning experience, and I'm putting out some of the best guitar lessons out there on YouTube. In the description, I've put a list of the gear that I use and highly recommend. Stuff like picks, strings, capos, tuners, the guitars that I use are in the description. If you want to support what I do and keep these videos coming, then please check out the gear list below. For everything you buy, I make a small percentage of that sale at no extra cost to you. Amazon's prices are really great as well, so you'll find some bargains there. I'll see you next time. Cheers.